Ubisoft's Episode 3 2019 reveal trailer for Gods and Monsters was exciting and beautiful, but it didn't tell us much about the game. A month later, Ubisoft Quebec is ready to talk about it, and it kinda sounds like Assassin's Creed through the lens of Zelda. In a recent interview with Ubi's official blog, creative director Jonathan Dumont and senior producer Mark Alexis Cotte spoke on Gods and Monsters in detail. It's an open-world action game like Assassin's Creed, but much more light-hearted. The narrator Homer is telling her children this story, but his grandkids are interrupting and asking questions along the way. Mythology has a good sense of humor oftentimes, so there are certain instances where we like to poke fun at things, said Dumont. The protagonist Phoenix is fully customizable. You can change their appearance, armor, and stats. Combat is ability-based, but abilities are also used in platforming to give an idea of the combat. Dumont said if you're fighting a Cyclops, you may have to double jump to reach his head and hit him in the eye to blind him, so then you can fight him on the ground. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is pretty simple on paper. It's an online space pirate adventure where some have said pirates are anthropomorphic animals, aka furries, and you can explore an entire solar system. In practice, it's so much more. It's a sequel, well, kind of. More on that later. To a cult favorite game from 2003 that's been in development for more than a decade, with shifting visions and scope. A solar system-sized sandbox for you to explore as you seamlessly transition from on-foot traversal to spaceship hyperspeed. And some of the content in the game will be made by fans via a collaboration with Hitachi Cord, a collaborative platform spearheaded by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. In the universe of Beyond Good and Evil 2, everyone is a clone, and hybrids are created by merging human DNA with that of animals. One group of hybrids are monkeys used to mine a valuable mineral created when meteorites collide into planets with sulfur fields. This causes the mineral called dualite to be highly dangerous to gather. Getting hit by one of these meteorites causes the Cyberpunk 2077 is set to be one of 2020's biggest games from the creators of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This epic RPG will take players to a futuristic city filled with things to do. It looks amazing, so we've compiled everything you need to know in one convenient place. CD Projekt Red has been on an absolute roll this generation. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was a wonderful swan song for Geralt of Rivia, while also firmly cementing itself as one of the greatest RPG adventures ever made. So the Polish studio's next project has an outrageous amount of hype behind it, and we're wrapped right up in that, with countless others taking place across a sprawling futuristic world and starring global megastar Keanu Reeves. We've seen Cyberpunk 2077 in the flesh, and it's far more than a gorgeous coat of paint. What we have here is a deep, mature, and complex RPG that aims to take the genre to new heights while delivering something players will never forget. Launching next year, it'll be here before you know it. Your dreams of piracy and plundering are on hold until 2020 because Ubisoft's Skullenbones is now scheduled to set sail sometime after April 2020. It's the second delay for the online open-world pirate game, which skipped Episode 3 2019. Skullenbones was originally announced in 2017, and we even got to play it in 2018, but there's been not a whiff of briny ocean or parrot poop since. If it can deliver on its 2020 date, the wait might just have been worth it. The game promises to let you command your own ship on the high seas, working together with other salty sea dogs or doing battle on the ocean waves. It's not as simple as it sounds, though. You'll need to contend with dynamic weather and world events, other factions, and learn the best trade routes to plunder while we wait for our galleons to dock and set about training our parrots to swear in 6 languages. Here's everything we know about the upcoming Ubisoft adventure. Watch Dogs Legion. The third in the Watch Dogs series will take place in the dystopian near future. As with previous Watch Dogs games set in Chicago and San Francisco, Legion will be set in the fictional version of a major city. This time around, we're headed across the pond to London in order to, as Creative director Clint Hocking told Famitsu approach problems in other parts of the world London after Brexit that is so not too fictional nor too futuristic. Unlike previous Watch Dogs games, Legion brings a neat twist. Every character in the game is a potential protagonist for you to recruit to your cause. Each comes with their own traits and skills that you can use before hopping into another member of your budding resistance movement. UBI shared a solid chunk of gameplay during its press conference to show off how different types of characters can be recruited and operate. We also went hands-on with Watch Dogs Legion and came away massively impressed. Below is everything else you need to know about Watch Dogs Legion ahead of launch early next year. As you're probably aware by now, Dying Light 2 is coming after the initial and ongoing success of the original game. It won't come as much of a surprise that a sequel is en route. It's scheduled to arrive in spring 2020. If you just want the fast facts, you need not look any further. This page devoted to all the important info on the Dying Light 2 release date, platforms and more. We'll be updating this with fresh details on a continual basis in the lead up to the game's release too, so be sure to bookmark it and keep checking back in for the latest news and gossip about the zombie game that could rule all other zombie games despite originally being pegged to a 2019 launch. The Dying Light 2 release date has been slightly pushed back to a vague spring 2020 window. That period could range from anywhere between March to June, but hopefully it veers further towards the earlier range as we're not sure how much longer we can wait. The delayed release date was announced alongside a new gameplay trailer seen above, which gives us our first proper look at infected protagonist Aiden Caldwell, the new open world of the city, and the narrative sandbox storytelling systems at play. Check it out above and don't tell me you're not excited. Techland has also confirmed Dying Light 2 will also launch on PS5 and Xbox. Project Scarlet when they're released too, so prepare for beautiful gore to get even more glistening. Cygames, best known for mobile titles like Grand Blue Fantasy, announced one of its first console-exclusive games ahead of this year's Tokyo Game Show, Project Awakening. The PlayStation 4 game, which is heading to both Japan and the US, looks stunning in its first trailer, even if it only hints at what the story could be about. The description for the short clip only tells us this: it's time for the wolves of war to awaken. It seems like our hero is contending with those wolves, whoever they're. Perhaps the giant dragon monster he's taken on is one of them. Expect plenty of sword action against bloodthirsty monsters who have no qualms about beating the heck out of you either way. Also possible, these giant colossi-like monsters who face our hero at the very end, they don't look like wolves, but perhaps we're being too literal. There's a small selection of screenshots available, mostly pulled for the trailer. Otherwise, Cygames will likely trickle out information for the PS4 exclusive until whenever it's expected to come out. PlayStation exclusive Ghost of Tsushima is about as far as it gets from comic book heroes with electric powers, but it's the next game from infamous studio Sucker Punch. The historical epic will tell the story of Jinsaka, a lone samurai in 13th century Japan who must learn the way of the ghost to battle Mongol invaders. In Infamous, you explore powers. In this game, we let you explore what it is to be a samurai inside of this enormous landscape of medieval Japan, says creative director Nate Fox. Jinsaka has a katana, a grappling hook, and a faithful horse to help him, but taking on one of the most intimidating armies in history is still guaranteed to be a challenge. Could Ghost of Tsushima end up being a PS5 title? We'll have to wait and see. Until then, we'll be updating this page with everything we discover about the game, from gameplay details, new trailers, and fresh news. To tell a good samurai story, you first need a good samurai protagonist. Jinsaka is one of the last line of defenses against the Mongol hordes that are invading Tsushima, but fortunately he's got katana skills befitting a one-man army rather than some ornate armor. Jin prefers to wear a straw raincoat to better insulate himself from the rain, and winds his red attire mirrors the red leaves that swell and drift around the island. Halo 6 is now called Halo Infinite. Microsoft gave us our first brief look at Halo Infinite at last year's Episode 3, and this year they delivered a new 5-minute trailer you can watch below. Despite dropping the number, you should still think of Halo Infinite as the next step in Master Chief's story. That's all we've seen, but 343 Industries has talked a little bit about Halo Infinite since announcement. Emphasis on a little so far. Discussion of the game has focused on the new engine 343 spent years building, resulting in the new graphical style and many more changes we'll likely see in the future. According to a rumor from earlier this year, the team behind the game is trying to make the story adapt to decisions the user makes, and the game may have more RPG elements than prior versions of the series. When a beta finally comes around, it'll come to Xbox before PC. We also know that Forge is making a big return, and that 343 probably isn't jumping on the Battle Royale bandwagon. Yes, Halo Infinite is confirmed for Windows 10 as well as Xbox, with Halo the Master Chief Collection also headed to PC this year. Microsoft is finally getting behind Halo on PC in a big way. The author of Mecha Samurai Empire and Cyber Shogun Revolution, Peter Tirias, seems to know what an embargo is, but equally does not. Peter, who has also written for IGN and Kotaku, has tweeted that he has played Death Stranding and it is breathtaking, easily one of the most unique and stunning experiences I've had in all my years of gaming. He also notes that he's not allowed to say anything more until the review embargo drops on November 1st. Actually, Peter, mate, you're not even allowed to say it is breathtaking, easily one of the most unique and stunning experiences I've had in all my years of gaming. That is also breaking the embargo. Another person who has described Death Stranding as stunning but probably has not signed her NDA is the director of the critically acclaimed Max film, George Miller. In a new video posted by IGN, he discussed